I didn't know what public affairs was when I was at school, and for quite a long time after that. I stumbled into it after discovering a real passion for politics at university, and I'm really glad that I did. Policy and politics and regulation really affects everything in our world and every aspect of our lives, from those services in our local community to the standards that we have in our workplaces to international trade. And my job is really to help organisations, investors and businesses get politics so that they can help make more informed decisions.
I can say it was really a little bit of a chance that I went into government affairs. I did study politics and languages, and also did a postgraduate degree in European relations, European affairs. But at the time I didn't really know what kind of road I could go into after my studies. However, during my studies for the European affairs degree, a fellow student introduced me to someone at a government affairs agency who was looking for someone with my kind of qualifications. So I moved to the UK. I'm originally from Germany, and I started working in government affairs.
The roles that I've had, I've worked within Parliament, I've worked for a number of MPs, I then moved into the private sector, moved into working for a number of trade bodies, moved to consultancy, and now I work for Galliard Homes, the largest privately owned developer in London and the South East.
By and large focused on government affairs, but I've also worked in comms and in patient relations in the pharma industry. And I've done that in industry, as I said, in charities and also in agency. So quite similar professional fields, but in different contexts.
Over the last, quite a long time, I've had roles in the civil service, in retail, supporting MPs and councillors, and it ended up in the agency world at GK. Over the past 11 years, I've worked for GK advising on many investment deals and working with clients to help them develop their communication strategies, which really means what to say and how to say it and who to say it to. And every role has taught me something different and important.
The best project I've worked on and the most exciting for me was a project where I helped patients access a treatment for an eye condition that would normally make people go blind in about 2 years. At the time, it took a long time to get reimbursement for a new treatment from the NHS. And so while everybody was waiting for the final decision, we set up an advocacy service for individual patients to help them argue for access to the treatment in their individual case. And that was a really exciting project because it included comms, it included parliamentary affairs, and it was working with individual patients who were going to benefit from the treatment. So I met some people who got the treatment and who were really grateful, lovely people, elderly people who really depended on not losing their sight. It took some time to get there, to have the final decision then that the treatment was reimbursed for everybody. But knowing that we helped about 500 people to avoid blindness, that was very powerful.
Galliard Homes, where we've worked to bring a number of developments to Birmingham across the city, and it's been great fun to work with the local authority to help deliver real change, real regeneration that is impacting the local community, and to be part of that is a real adventure.
be anything from working with clients to improve building safety, to advocate for better health services, and all of the investments we've worked on from EdTech to financial services. And they're really investments into brilliant and growing businesses, and helping them to understand what the political risks are and opportunities are.
My advice for when you want to enter the policy or public affairs sector is to demonstrate somehow interest, that you are interested in politics and or policy making, whether that's volunteering for something, being part of a group, an advocacy group, or being part of a political party, maybe writing blogs, being on a podcast. There are so many different things that you can do.
Choice is your most valuable commodity. In your studies and your career, keep your options open at all times. A healthy mind can always change tack.
My advice to anyone that is joining the industry is never assume that you know everything. Keep learning, keep reading, and keep staying informed. As the world evolves, so does our sector.
My one piece of advice for those of you considering or embarking on a career in public affairs or policy would be to read broadly. Gather intelligence from as wide a range of sources as possible. That could be through Twitter, online platforms, mainstream media, attending events, or even just talking to individuals. But understanding the balance of the argument is really important. It allows you to provide the most informed and well thought out piece of advice and counsel to the client or the organisation that you work for. You might not always agree with everything that you're having to represent, but it's important that you understand both sides of the argument. This will also allow you to anticipate any potential issues or hurdles that may arise further down the track. Knowledge is key.
I think it's really important, if you want to go into government affairs specifically, that you are interested in politics. It's important to have that interest. Not so important whether you're party political, so you don't have to be a party member or anything, but you have to be interested in politics and how decisions are taken. You need to be curious about people. You need to listen to people to understand their perspective, because it's only when you understand their perspective that you can tailor your messaging and make sure that you convince them of your position.
Hi, I'm Elena Wilson and Policy Manager at the Edge Foundation. Prior to Edge, I was also a generalist on the Civil Service Fast Stream programme, and I just wanted to reflect on what I love the most about my job. I think reflecting on the education sector, which is what I work in, every day can be so different and education changes so rapidly. Government are often shifting their policy direction, and young people and teachers share their views on what they want to see change in the world. So it's wonderful to kind of stay on top of that information. I think secondly, it's the power of relationships, and I have the privilege of working with policymakers across the sector, with civil servants, with members of parliament, again with teachers and young people, and it's amazing to kind of build those relationships with them, to hear their voices and to work collectively as a sector, and when we do that we can achieve incredible change, and it's wonderful to be a part of that.
The best thing about the world of working with complex organisations and with governments? Well, the fact is that sometimes that work matters. It's crunchy, and occasionally it even makes a difference.
The best thing about my job is, it's hard to say, there's so many, but it's the diversity of my days and brilliant clients with different needs. And really, most importantly, working with the brilliant team at GK to make public policy better through engagement.
For me, it's really when you're working on a topic for a long time. For instance, you want some changes to legislation. I once worked on getting through some changes to disability legislation in the European Union, and that was to introduce a clause to protect people against discrimination. And it took about 2 years or so of working with people from across Europe on the topic of influencing governments, of influencing the European institutions, doing various activities to make the argument. And then the day you get the result and you know that clause will be introduced into the European treaties, that was just a wonderful feeling. And I've had that several times in my career. It often takes time to get there, but when you do, that's just the best feeling.